Yo,
What up, though?
live with it Thursday night live, 9:05 live. I'm trying to get my Prime app situated, Prime Video app situated, so I can catch what quarter is it in? Second quarter?
About to be second quarter. Tyreek Hill has done relatively nothing right now, so
Word.
we are awaiting.
So I'm gonna get my little Thursday night football
Yeah,
vibes
man,
on while I'm chilling here.
it's only right.
But we here, man. 2/3 of the mightiest, the Ringside Club. This is episode 104.
104 of them things.
104, man.
Let
Two
everybody
episodes away
know.
from 106 in Park, one episode away from Power 105. Ain't nothing really catchy about 104. It's just 104.
It's just 104.
It's just ten
Just
four, ten
over the
four.
over
Roger
the
that.
threshold.
This the Roger that episode. We need wrestlers named Roger. That should be like today in wrestling. Wrestlers named Roger for the
That's
10-4
funny. I
episode.
just watched Roger Goodell sit down with the CEO of Amazon in the bleachers. So there's a Roger. It's
There you go. Shouts to Roger from Moesha.
Roger Klotz.
Yep.
Doug Funny.
Ain't really too many Rogers out there like that. Roger Rabbit, that's whack. It's a cartoon character.
Uh, Mr. Rogers in the neighborhood.
Miss, that's the old.
It's the
That's
top
the
five.
Roger.
It's the
Yeah,
top five of Rogers.
that's the Roger right there.
You know what I'm saying? It's the top
Shout
five of
to
Rogers.
Raj Giri.
You know what I'm saying?
Raj
Raj,
Giri.
salute.
What up, though? What's good with you?
Shit, man. Long week. Long week of wrestling. You know, it's a lot of content going on. We just finished catching up on Dynamite. Impact is on tonight as well, too. We just got through All Out. That was it's a hell of a pay per view.
I enjoyed it. I like that all in to all out like vibe change. How they go with like their big WrestleMania type show, arena, stadium. As big as possible, Super Bowl type shit, and then they just get with the grimiest of the grimy for all out.
You can see it in the actual like layout of the graphics and
Yeah, in
such.
the
So
art direction. Yeah, the art direction told a story. But that's what it was. That was night and day. Like this one you bring the kids to, this one you leave the kids home.
I was more so into All In. If I had to compare the two, it was more All In than All Out this go around.
I don't know. I can't compare them. It's two different types of shows.
I mean,
Like there's matches that you couldn't have. For example, like Swerve versus Page. You can't have that at all in just because of the type of match it was. You know what I mean? That's
for
for
timing purposes, I compared the two of them. Like, if I had to go back, I'd go back and rewatch All In before I go back and rewatch All Out.
I've already rewatched. Uh,
And I've
at
rewatched them.
least I've rewatched. I think the Osprey match. No, I'm bugging. I didn't get a chance. That happened this week. That was this Sunday, right? This past Saturday.
This
So I
past
haven't
Saturday.
rewatched anything, but I rewatched. Of course, I'm all in. But there's matches that I want to see again. Like I want to watch at least 3 or 4 matches
Will and Stat was good.
for
That
All
was a
Out.
takeaway. That was one of my favorite matches of the whole night.
Yep,
Off top. You know what I'm saying? I think they
that was
did the
that.
hardcore shit better than some of the guys do, real talk.
100%. I mean that they have a chemistry and a trust.
They won me over.
Yeah, they have a chemistry and a trust. And Willow has had like 5, 6 hardcore matches already between TV and pay-per-views. Like that's kind of her bag.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind an AEW women's hardcore division.
Nah, chill. I don't want a hardcore division at all. What's
Yeah,
the
we already got
difference?
it.
Like they have
We
hardcore matches once a show. Why do we need a division for it?
because you got the FTW championship, so it definitely is a hardcore division. A women's
Uh,
hardcore division, the AEW women's hardcore division is actually really potent because they put on some damn good quality hardcore matches.
I don't want to I don't want to turn on every Wednesday and see somebody getting hit with a kendo stick.
I mean, it's all in good fun. It's
Keep
AEW.
keep that shit sparing. You know what I mean? Sparingly.
Sparingly and AEW is a funny combination.
It's sparing as it possibly can be in AEW. As
We're
sparingly as
bound for a
possible.
street fight at Arthur Ashe. Speaking of, we might have to make an appearance at Arthur Ashe because that lineup is looking kind of sweet right now.
Yeah, it looks fire. They got what 4 matches announced? 4 out of
I
5.
mean, really, it was Brian Danielson and Nigel McGuinness that sold me.
Yep,
That was the one that did it.
that's gonna
I,
be fly. Mox versus I like heel Mox, so Mox
That was
versus
so
Darby is
clunky,
a
man.
different than I don't give
That
a fuck.
that whole
I
shit
think like
was just
but that
clunky,
dynamic of
dog.
Mox and Darby is gonna be fly. You know, like a heel Mox is different in AEW. He hasn't been a heel in AEW yet.
I just didn't, me, the king of the Darby Allen fan club. You know what I'm saying? Like
All right, let's start the show, ladies and
I was
gentlemen. It's
happy to
episode
hear.
104. Get that bullshit out of here.
Yo,
We're
man,
gonna start the show. We'll be right back with some bullshit on the other end of these here messages. It's the
Darby
Ringside Club.
Allenites. Night.
Peace to y'all, it's the Ringside Club, Paul, A.O., Blame Boogie, Chad Law. The power's back, triple power bomb. The big dog trio in the stream, y'all. Go outside, hit the venue guard. It's all love when you see us, Lord. Back to the pad, on air for the pod. Ringside Club, intro to the squad. Let the show start.
Indeed, indeed it is. Peace, 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 peace to the gods, of course. Peace to the earths. Peace to everybody out there in eyes reach, ears reach. This is episode number 104 of the Ringside Club. We broadcast to you live every Thursday night, 9:05 live, right here on YouTube and of course on X. Peace to everybody out there, man. Before we get into these reintroductions, I believe Chad is the current champ. Before we get into all of that, I want to let everybody know you can head over to theringsideclub.com. Past episodes, future episodes, merch, that's all available right there. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you just go over there, search the Ringside Club, leave a nice little 5-star review that never hurt anybody. You know what I mean? And of course, you can follow us across all socials. We're on TikTok, Instagram, X, of course, right here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend, tell a friend. My name is A.O. Baker. I'm here. I'm chilling. About to get this Prime Video rocking so I can get this Thursday Night Football on in the background. Not like I really give a fuck about who wins this, but, you know.
It's a good game. I ain't gonna front.
I'm here for the sport of it. But, Chad, what up?
It's a good game. Salute, man. It's the kid Younger Diver himself, CHADLAW. Chad Law live from the Law Lair, enjoying this nice Bills and Dolphins game right now. Just ate, feeling good. You know what I mean? Just indulging a lot of wrestling this week. Appreciate y'all tapped into us right now on all the streamings, Twitter, YouTube. Big ups to y'all. Much love. You know what I'm saying? Shit, man. I was just talking to AL before we jumped in with the intro about my god, Darby Allin. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't believe that he had to give up, even put that title shot on the line. I thought it was very clunky how that ended up going with the Nigel McGuinness, Brian Danielson announcement. Although I do appreciate Nigel McGuinness coming back, and I'm excited as can be. You know what I'm saying? I was here for that. I was here for the Nigel McGuinness, Brian Danielson era. So I appreciate it. And to the people that are saying there's no story, what's the story, et cetera, I'm just like, in y'all face. Now you guys got to just see it how I be seeing it and just enjoy the wrestling at hand. If you want to know the story, just Google the shit. It is what it is. But hopefully Darby don't lose his title shot. I think he's got a potential world title victory, laying in wait. How you feeling, man?
Let's just get into Dynamite. So this seems like that's where we're starting. Maybe we start at Dynamite and work our way backwards to back to All Out.
All right.
I mean, for start, like again with the just Google it shit. So I haven't been on Twitter at all this week. All right, so I'm gonna start there. Like between, like I had family birthdays, a bunch of things going on, and then just between, there's a lot of stupid motherfuckers just online. I'm gonna just say that. It's just a lot of morons, and I think with everything that was going on in the news this week, obviously wrestling, but obviously politics. I mean, there's any number of there's just a lot of stupid people, and I
Dogs and
can't.
cats are
It's
being ate, yo. As we speak, somebody's eating a dog and a
that
cat.
shit was hilarious to me.
That was priceless.
But yo, there's so I wasn't really up to speed with the fact that there was discourse about this discourse and questions about what the story is for Nigel McGuinness and Brian.
Yes,
Yeah, well,
because there's a matter of confusion as to why would Moxley say that Brian Danielson is out the way, incapable of showing up, and then 20 minutes later, Nigel cuts a promo saying, "Hey, Grand Slam, it's me and you." And now the asterisk is if Brian can perform. So that's pretty much we're going to get a buildup of if Brian Danielson can perform, he will perform non-title.
all right. So correct me if I'm wrong. Mox still hasn't fully explained exactly what his issue is with Brian. He's alluding to it, but he hasn't fully explained what it is, right?
He keeps saying that he doesn't have the time to explain. He just needs to just get the title shot. And then
Right.
think
He
from there.
in the ring with Darby. He said there's a lot going on, more than I have time to explain. There's things going on in the background, whatever. So we don't know exactly what his real issue is with Brian. We just know that there's an issue, and it'll be explained later. It's TBD, correct?
Yes.
What's clunky about that?
Why would he say that Brian Danielson cannot compete, therefore Darby Allin can't get a title shot, but then 20 minutes later Brian Danielson's going to compete and Darby can't get a title shot?
So on commentary, because this is 2 weeks, they kept saying if Brian can
If.
go in 2 weeks.
If. Yes, that's the asterisk is if.
So then that tie that up?
But then there's the people that say, why Nigel McGuinness? What's the story? I'm
Right, so stop right
40
there.
years old.
This is exactly why I'm glad that they are two fucking different companies. All of those What's the Story people are the ones that need to watch. Not even need to watch. I ain't trying to play anybody. But they're looking at, from WWE's perspective, every story that you get that they care about telling you, you're going to get a video package about shit that happened 15 minutes ago, last week, what's going to happen tomorrow, mad packages. They're going to get in the ring and they're going to repeat it. They're going to throw to the screen and say, here's footage about what happened in our issue. Versus what AEW has been from the jump, which is the fucking federation, the fully funded, well-funded wrestling federation for people that watch more than just this company.
Oh, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm happy to throw that back at people, pause, because
No, but that's my whole thing is like, if that's the
it's the
argument.
same people in AEW, in the AEW camp, that are like, yo, what's the story with this? Like, why
I
is
don't know who
Darby
any of
Allin
these
getting
people
this
are.
time?
I just know that conversation has been stupid to me from jump because they've told you exactly what they are from jump.
And if you didn't realize, in the amount of time that Nigel's been on commentary, he hates Brian Danielson. So you had to figure that there's some type of history, which leads me to say, just Google it. It's what the other side of the fence will tell me.
But let's take 2 steps back, right? Even if, for example, you don't Google to go and look up what their history is, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to listen to that man every time he's on commentary, whether it be on Collision or on a pay-per-view. The one time that he was on Dynamite recently in the last, I think, 3 months or whatever, he filled in for Taz when Taz wasn't on. Every time he has an opportunity to bring Brian Danielson's name up, he has something negative to say. You don't need to know anything other than that. Clearly, I don't
know. I think you kind of want to know why he's.
No, you want to know, but it's not super vital to understanding that this guy doesn't like this guy and would want to have a match.
But I want to understand
telling
the
those
root.
stories. We can get into telling those stories once we have a match confirmed and all of that. But to understand, this guy doesn't like this guy for some reason. It's like I'm saying now about Mox. We don't know exactly what his issue is with Brian Danielson. So why don't we just wait and see? Why does everything have to be laid out right now?
It'd be nice.
Why? We can't have cliffhangers anymore. We can't thread needles anymore. We got to tell everything right now.
Nah, some clips, since you own the Ring of Honor fucking catalog, would be nice. Perhaps.
Yo, dog, he just challenged them. You don't think they're gonna have any footage?
I know it's gonna happen, but I'm just saying, like, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
this is
just
why
looking at the discourse,
like the more I talk about wrestling, the less I want to talk about wrestling. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about building airplanes and shit, man.
Let's have a wrestling podcast where we talk about, like, fuck, what did you do this week, bro? Like, what was what meal of of
Oh
choice?
man,
What was your meal of choice this week? What did you enjoy the most? What was the best breakfast you had out of these last 7 days since the last time I talked to you?
we can actually skip over the Moxley thing since we talked about it pretty much. Jack Perry defended the TNT title against Leo Rush. That TNT division is fucking fried, man. I don't know what's going on here. I know the Elite have the belts in the chokehold, but the tag and the TNT division is just painful, dog. Like, so much so that if y'all haven't seen the news report, Motor City Machine Guns are heading to NXT and will be debuting tentatively as soon as the CW debut, which I find very interesting. They didn't go to AEW after all the talks, but I look at that gauntlet match and I can easily see that, like, man, this tag division has so much promise, but it is just getting held up and line skipped by makeshift tag teams again. And I can't even say Ospreay and Fletcher are makeshift, but they're in themselves in a whole other conundrum with the Don Callis BS.
I mean, right now, like that didn't Fletcher and Osprey winning that match didn't do the tag division any favors at all.
No,
At
no.
all. Like like you mentioned, technically they're not makeshift, but they're really not. They're friends on opposite sides. Like he's not. They're not even part of the same camp anymore. Technically, right? Osprey technically left the Callis family, and he's doing him a solid. He said, "Let me leave, and I'll do you this one favor." And he finally called his favor in. But they're not a regular tag team, and they won. That's really like we need to get Osprey on this Grand Slam card. So let's do the
But
Bucks versus
which was
Osprey.
crazy because it's like, yo, Osprey has a belt, which is technically the second
Yeah,
mid
yeah.
card belt.
I didn't like that at all. I thought that was pretty.
Because
Bad.
really, these Outrunner guys, they're on fire. Them and Eminem,
Biggest pop of the night, bro.
yo, did you
Biggest
hear
pop
the
of
way
the
the
night.
crowd made no noise for pick a tag team? Undisputed Kingdom.
Yeah, that was crickets.
That was crickets. Private Party was okay. FTR is just like the thanks for
Man,
showing
I
up.
don't understand why they, you know, I love Private Party, bro.
Private Party got beat up by the Whitepool Combat Club and didn't even get a chance to be in the actual tag team gauntlet match. That was crazy. That was fucking nuts, though. Private Party always catch a bad break. These Outrunner guys, them and Eminem, Mason Mansoor, there's some good tag teams to look out for. They are 100% some new tag teams that are worthwhile to look out for.
I mean, what this basically just tells me is that the Bucks are gonna have these titles for quite some time because
Yes.
they don't have anybody really set up that look like they're real contenders for that title. That's all this is.
I could tell.
You know what I mean? Like, because this Osprey and Fletcher thing feels more like they're gonna have a good match, and whatever the outcome, the Bucks are winning. It's more about how the Bucks win or how the Bucks escape with the title. To me, this is like, is this driving a wedge between Osprey and Fletcher, or is this driving a wedge between Fletcher and Callis? It's either or.
Definitely either or. I think Callis is going to pop back up and do some nut shit, though, because Takeshita's around, which is crazy. Because it's like, aren't you a major heel? How do you got all the baby faces that, like, people actually kind of fuck with now? So, like, that in itself is already, to me, just, you know what I mean? It's over
Wait,
my fucking goofy. But
who else?
Grand
is
Slam
a
should be
face?
cool.
You said the Callis family has faces.
Yeah, Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita by default against Okada.
Nah, Takeshita ain't no. That's
Takeshita
heel versus
pretty
heel.
much could be. The crowd loves Takeshita, though. I think he could be a babyface.
But I mean, by behavior and character, he's a heel, though.
Can't really understand all the mannerisms that well. I'm just,
That's heel versus heel. They just don't like each other. That's all.
Oh,
He should
man.
be. He can be positioned as a babyface on the back of that feud, but he got to
Who
get
is
away
a
from Don.
heel? Who is a heel in this company? I tell you who needs to be a heel. Sammy Guevara. That boy. Yo, quick intermission. We're going to go to Prepped and Cooked. And I'm just going to start off with a nice heap and help of Cooked. I'm skipping Prepped, and Cooked is just all the way Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is my Cooked wrestler of the week, y'all. It's no avoiding it. Yes, he is a Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, but at the same time, Mans was supposedly a fourth pillar, 1, 2, 3, 4 of AEW, and now he can't beat Ricochet in just another okay match with Ricochet. where Sammy took most of the match, which was kind of strange. And then Ricochet hit a cool flip and a finisher, the Vertigo, and that was it. So, babyface Sammy just ain't it for me. But then again, I just think everyone in AEW might really be over Sammy Guevara. He's cooked.
Yeah, Sammy to me is like this is experiment of having him in Ring of Honor and as a tag champ. I think they're still spinning their wheels with Sammy. What can we do with Sammy? And I think Sammy's had so many opportunities and feuds and programs and part of this faction and this Jericho Vortex version and blah 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 blah. He's never going to be a babyface because he has one of the most dislikable faces, one of the most dislikable personas and personalities. But I don't know. Like,
do you blame the Jericho Vortex?
I can't really blame Jericho wholeheartedly. I think Sammy's also done himself no favors. You know, if you pay attention to any of the issues that Sammy has had backstage, issues that he's had in the ring. Like, I remember, for example, he had the match with Jeff Hardy, and I think Jeff Hardy got knocked out, and he's still hitting his move on a knocked out Jeff Hardy.
Yes,
he got suspended for that.
That's what took his whole 2024 out of commission.
Bingo. He got in a bunch of shit backstage with Eddie Kingston a bunch of times. I just think, like, in general, you know, from whatever it is that I've read, there's been a lot of he's his own worst enemy attached to Sammy Guevara's name. But the Jericho situation, I don't really think helped them outside of that first version either. You know, when they first came in as the Inner Circle, I think that was a good boost to him. And other than that, it was like it was time for a long time for him to step away, and he just stood there. You know, he stood stuck there. So,
you know what I gotta say, bro?
Cooked.
Jericho in pockets again is painful. Hook versus Roddy Strong, painful. While we're missing some key players for the next couple of weeks with Swerve, MJF, and obviously DMD is back on her hiatus. You know, there's no Adam Cole. I mean, not that he was really much of a factor anyways. Who else am I missing that just recently is going to take a break? Somebody else that I'm missing. Bryan Danielson on his little, you know, post stop starts. You know, this is the time where more people are going to be showing up, which is cool. I fuck with it. But I would like if you could just, I wish AEW would take breaks with certain wrestlers. Like, pause this guy. Like, Jericho, pause him. He's not going to be paused because his gimmick's working right now, whether we want to agree to it or not. I mean, I kind of fuck with the learning tree, but rehashing that segment with pockets was just terrible because we knew that wasn't $7,000 worth of pennies. It did no damage. It looked like you just took a pillowcase of pennies and put it in the front seat. Like, that's all it looked like. So, like, that was like, terrible.
I get what the joke was supposed to be, but it was, you know, the execution didn't hit.
Now
That's
we're
basically
probably
what that came down to.
Going to get our next hardcore match at Grand Slam with those two. Because how else do you have a blow off after you've had a blow off feud? Pause. Like, it's going to have to be some type of hardcore stipulation. Because we got to get, you know, Jericho and the Vortex on Grand Slam. Yeah, that was a hell of a segment. That shit was terrible.
Yeah, I'm good on Jericho, man.
Mariah May is not over.
Hold on. Hook went into that Jericho feud and came out of that Jericho feud, and has he benefited?
He's about to feud with Roddy Strong. So
I think the only person right now, the only person that's benefiting from this whole Jericho thing, at least in this week, like Big Bill got a great ovation in England during All In. And that look that he gave Jericho yesterday about, like, you know, we're not friends, you just get used in this business, something along those lines. That's going to be cool. Like, once he finally, I think basically that seed was planted because they heard that response in London. And there's been a few times here and there where, on Collision, I believe, where Big Bill got a great response, a lot better and more favorable than I think people were expecting. And he's performed his ass off since he's been in AEW. You know,
he doesn't want to fuck this one up.
Going back to the tag team with Ricky Starks, right? He
Remember
killed
that
it.
guy?
Yeah, well, oh well. Sort your shit out, bro. Um, Back to that tag team with Ricky Starks, he killed it. So I think like Big Bill has benefited. If you want to say that anybody else has benefited, I haven't really seen it.
Brian Keith.
I don't see it. He's on television. That's about
He's
it.
on television. That's doing, at least standing there looking cooler than he has
Nah, but like again, like I
months
don't
ago.
think that whenever this ends, whenever he walks away or they break up or whatever, I don't think he's in a better place than he was before this started, than he is now. Like,
Just going off of the way AEW handles people of Big Bill stature, I don't believe that he would be better off once they split, though. Lance Archer and many of Giants in AEW can attest to that. So it's like, I just
fair
don't
point.
think Big Bill as a singles face is going to be like the one that's like, oh shit, he's main eventing Wembley next year. Like I say, I don't think that'll be it. It'll be dope. I fuck with it.
Yeah,
But
that's a fair point. I think like maybe Big Bill has the best opportunity out of
in
any of these.
NXT,
Well, I ain't, more power to you. I think like Big Bill has the best opportunity out of most of the other big people. Like putting Big Bill and Lance Archer next to each other, I think Big Bill has more of a connection with the American audience.
yes, I
You
think
know what I mean?
women would generally look at Big Bill in comparison to Lance Archer and be like, yo, I like that guy.
He's better on the microphone, so I don't know. We'll see.
Mariah May defeated Queen Aminata. Aminata continues to shine. She's killing it right now. Rave reviews. She's only getting better. I don't hear anyone talking bad about Aminata because you can see the work and the progress. It's nasty that she's putting in.
And she hits hard, man. Like
As
the one
fuck.
thing I liked about that Mariah May and Aminata match is they didn't really like they started off maybe trying to feel each other out a little bit, but I think the longer they went in there and they got a little bit more comfortable, some of those shots were heavy. They really laid it in, kicks, strikes, um, suplexes. They did a pretty good job from the little bit of that match that I saw. But
Yo,
Aminata's been killing it, man.
Aminata's smoking shit, and Mariah May is the outside crickets. She is just quiet, bro. Like, I damn near want to throw Mariah May. Like, she would be prepped to me, but I just don't want to throw her in that category yet. But she has no character.
It's not that there's no character. There's nothing going on with her. Like a good face or a good heel is only as good as their dance partner. Who's she in a feud with right now, actively?
I mean, her calling out Mina, calling out Mina, I think it's in her best bet. I'm looking forward to that one because.
But like, is Mina over?
No, so that's not going to help
so
each
that's
other.
not going to help.
Only, I mean, hold on.
She's
Mina's
over to the heads that like the bell to bell.
Yes.
Right, but for the
Google
people
it.
that are, for the
Do your
people
research.
that want
Do
a
the
feud,
knowledge.
that's not even that. It's for the people that want the feud. Like, let's get into the feud. You know what I mean? They had a good seed planted with Mina when she was in between Tony and Mariah. And then once that kind of fizzled out a little bit and she went off wherever she went, we've only seen her when they had that one match and she didn't even get involved. So there's no meat on that bone right there. There's nothing actually active right there.
Now is the time for one thing. I wish someone would actually win an eliminator match. Like, I would love to see someone actually win, like, for a change. So you can give me that type of, oh shit, you caught me off guard here. Would love that.
The Bucks would be perfect for that. Like, I wouldn't do that with Mariah, for example, just because we're on the Mariah topic right now.
Yeah.
But we're still establishing her as a champ. You know what I mean? So I don't want her as a new champ to take an L. But the Bucks can lose the titles, whatever. Like, they're heels, but we know that they're one of the best tag teams of all time already. So they can lose an eliminator match to somebody that they want to eventually have a real program with.
Yes.
But I agree. Like, that eliminator match, like, it would be kind of dope to see the Bucks take an L on TV.
Somebody win an eliminator match, and then next up, Mariah May has just been, I think, just cold, bro. Like, after the blood thing, the initial blood, it's just like, dog, nobody reacts, bro. Like, I watched this shit. She hit the Storm Zero, calls out Mina, lays in the middle of the rings, does snow angels in the ring, and it's quiet, bro. It's like outside quiet, and it's like
Yeah,
this is regular. Like
but
take
that's
All In
what's
out. Like this is regular for Mariah May, and I had that feeling, which is why I kept saying, "Yo, Tony Storm should win." Like I really think Tony Storm should like retain the title and like not give us the obvious. Like I think Tony could still hold the belt and drop it at a later date. What do I know?
well. All right, I'll ask you this, or I'll say this. There have been plenty of times where Tony came out, even when she was champ, where there really wasn't much of a reaction. Like you'd hear the music and you'd hear like a small, pattering of the crowd, but there
She's
really
had a reign
wasn't.
for like a year. Like you can't really like say that she's like been continuously all crickets. Like
I'm not saying
she's a
she's
little
been crickets.
outlandish.
I'm not saying she's crickets. What I'm saying is there were peak moments of her reign, and then there were lull moments of her reign. And maybe by the time we got into the the peak of their feud might not have been the peak of her reign. So you have Mariah May kind of beating a cooling off Tony Storm, which doesn't do Mariah May any favors.
I don't think Tony's cool enough per se. I think if anything, people still love Tony Storm, but the break is needed. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, nah, give her the take Tony off TV, give it a break. Perfect. The more we miss you, the better. But I just think Mariah just didn't need this belt because I just don't think she's gonna have a memorable reign. I know it's so early to tell, but I don't think off top, like, what is she gonna do? She's gonna stab Tony Storm when she comes back, like to like be like, oh shit, like I
Yeah,
just
she needs a big feud. And the other thing is like a fam, Tony Storm was the world champ and she wasn't higher on the card than Mercedes.
and Mariah May is the
Mariah
world
May
champ.
is
She
damn sure
looks
not going to be higher on the card than Mercedes. You know what I mean? So she needs like a really, really, really good feud
now.
to
That's
connect
that's
because
a
if
good
if
point.
that doesn't happen, this is going to be a rough reign.
She's turned that belt into like the opener belt, which isn't the best thing because like you'd want to slap her for the opener. Instead, it's just like
But I mean, yo, to be fair, like that wasn't even anything that she didn't turn it into the opening belt. Mercedes turned it in as soon as she won the TBS title. There was no pay per view, no show at all where Tony Storm was higher on the card than Mercedes. So that ain't even Mariah. I'm just saying, like Mariah ain't even built like that to be able to overcome that.
nah, she's not. She's definitely not. No Mercedes Monet because she probably had to go take care of some personal issues, like the fucking wig that kept falling off during that Sheeta match. That felt like it just kept going on and on and on. That match was painful from all that. I ain't gonna hold you.
Uh,
That shit stunk.
I thought they started out all right, and little by little it unraveled.
Yo, bro,
And
they
by the
they went
time
on
we
for
got to the,
15 minutes, bro. They went on for 15 minutes, and
what I'm saying
then
is like they lost. They had a nice little start to me, and the chemistry was okay, and something the fuck went wrong.
Mercedes' wig went wrong. She kept trying, like, every move after like 15 minutes was just Mercedes trying to just keep her head, like, you know what I mean, her head situated. Because Rashida was fucking with it. She was fucking her up with it. So,
Yeah,
just the
and like
three
that,
kicks, the
those
no
those
sell.
three katanas, like good way to bury a finisher. Let me eat three of those and just kick out at one and roll out and throw you into the
Wait,
ring post.
wait. You can't even say that in All Elite, bro. Look at that whole card. Everybody kicked out of everybody's finisher the whole night. So I can't even bury Sheeta's three kicks. That
Nah,
looked credible.
I absolutely can. I absolutely can because vibes are vibes, right? Watching that match versus watching, another match where somebody hits a big finisher and powers up because of fighting spirit, which, by the way, sidebar, that is part of wrestling psychology. It's just a different style. It's adrenaline. That was not what happened with Mercedes. There was no fire up spot. There was no rush of adrenaline. There was no fighting
No.
spirit. She just got hit with three finishers, kicked out at one, and rolled out.
And
There
then
was no,
through
that wasn't like taking, a lot of times people kick out of finishers and the energy goes to another level and the crowd gets into it and you get that applause and blah, blah, blah. That didn't happen. You know what I'm
Nah,
saying? So it's two different things, apples and oranges. That shit was just they were not on the same page at some point, and it just got worse and worse and worse until the match
that
ended.
match was painful. That
And I
shit
was
was
surprised, man. Like when we came on here and did the preview, I said that Sheeta has a reputation for being a person that a lot of wrestlers have had their best match with. So I was expecting this to be, a bit of a coming out party for Mercedes because she hasn't had what a lot of people are expecting to be like these classic matches. She hasn't had one yet. And yeah, that wasn't it, man.
that shit wasn't it, bro. I knew that wasn't gonna happen. They already wrestled each other and Mercedes beat her. Mercedes hasn't put on a really good match in AEW since she got here. And Sheeta is not believable anymore. So it's just like this was a collision match. This was just to get Mercedes on the card. Like you could have damn near just did a tag team match with Camille. It's just been fine. Like Camille wasn't even a factor and Sheeta still lost because she's an idiot with the cane. Like I looked at that like
Yeah, that was the other part. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Like, even commentators like Sheeta, you don't have to do this. Hey, you actually have the upper hand right now. You don't have to do this.
Yo, this is the second time a babyface has just said, I don't want to hit you with this object, even though you've been fucking my life up for the last couple of weeks. I'm going to just put this down and then get back to you. Oh, match over. That shit had me blown, bro. That had me blown. I will say I do like Marina Shafir being a staple part of the White Bull Combat Club. Yep. I appreciate it. I'm a Marina Shafir fanatic. You know what I'm saying? I've been bigging Marina Shafir up for a while. I love that she's actually going to be, a focal point, the new China, if you will, to Moxley, which is cool. It's the opposite of what you'd expect to have, like a big, brooding monster. It's like, nah, Moxley's the monster. Marina's the problem.
And like I like what the cool thing about Marina too is like it still fits in with the original idea of the Blackpool Combat Club of let's take some people that we think have potential but kind of fit our shit and train them. You know what I mean? And bring them up. She's like now the youngest person out of that crew, the least experienced out of that crew. So she's under that learning tree, no pun intended, of some real killers, and we already noticed she's a killer. So she's going to be built up to be something really, really special. Like when she finally does have her first match as part of this crew, you're going to see a different level of aggression and she's going to showcase technique. That's the way that they're going to design that match. She's going to be built into like, nah, you really don't want this problem. This is the problem, Marina Shafir.
You know what I mean? How funny is it? I find it very amusing that they swapped out Yuta and replaced him with a woman. How useless is Wheeler Yuta?
Because I think Yuta plays his part really well. Like I think Yuta for starters, like going back to the beginning, is Brian that recruited.
Bro, he got burped and hugged at All Out from Pac.
Because he's torn, right? I think he's torn. I think the whole idea is that he's torn. Like this is my mentor. This is another one of my mentors. I didn't know this was gonna happen. I don't want to lay hands. I looked at it like, the kid that gets caught up in the fucking divorce. That's basically what that is. And it's interesting to me now because he's still a trios champ, how that plays out.
Yeah, that division just takes an L every chance it gets. Every time it gets a new
I don't think
user,
that's an L. I think that's interesting.
Because now they're going to have they're not going to freebird it because you already stripped champions of that. And now
they're not going to be champs, but I think like we haven't gotten to that point yet where we've seen them force Wheeler Yuta to be a part of that match or they fuck him up. That's going to happen.
Which sucks because that means that they probably are going to take another few weeks to even get there. And that's going to hold the trios title in the division.
Whatever. I mean, it ain't like there's a lack of shit going on. I ain't worried about it. Let it simmer. To me, that's like really Yuta is back home trying to figure out what he wants to do next. If I was me, I would have him sit down, do that, side-by-side screen with like a Jim Ross or somebody. You know what I mean? Like, yo, Wheeler, we haven't heard from you since XYZ attack at All Out. Where's your brain been? What have you been thinking? Have you had contact with anybody? Mm-hmm. That would be kind of dope just to see what his perspective is. You're still 1/3 of the trio's champs, but you haven't had any communication with Mox or Pac. What is your move? Do you know? And a babyface thing to do would be to have him say, I'm a champion. I am a fighting and defending champion. We're not on the same page, but I'll be there for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different things they could do with this. Whether they do it or not, whatever. I'm just saying. I think it's interesting now because we don't. There's a lot of questions and not too many answers there.
Over under Blackpool Combat Club keeping the trios championships for the rest of the year. Over or under?
Really, for the rest of the year? Nah, it's not happening.
All
It's
right.
under. Yeah, that's under. But when they finally do lose it, it's still up in the air, and how they lose it. Right? I could
That
see the next time they have that match, Mox and Pac wasting no time and just immediately beating the shit out of Wheeler, leaving
Kill
him
him.
for dead and walking out.
That'll let House of Black go ahead and take the belts back.
Cool.
Kings of the Trios division.
Cool.
I mean, shit, at least it'll get some focal point then. You know what I'm saying? Them and Bang Bang Gang can continue to feud for the rest of the time.
Cool.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm with it. I'm with that. I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the Lord and Savior Darby Allin again before we wrap up on AEW.
I mean, yo, hold on. What was your favorite match from All Out?
Statlander Willow, easily.
Mhm.
That was easily. It gave me Mike Awesome and Tonka.
Tanaka. Yeah,
Tanaka
yeah,
vibes.
Tanaka.
Masada Tanaka. Tanaka vibes from One Night Stand. That shit was brutal. Fire match.
Yeah, that somersault. It was supposed to be like a senton through the table, and
Shit
Willow
looked
like
painful. But
he
wild
caught
reckless.
the double
Wild
heel to the back of it to the.
She
to the
could have
top
took
of the head.
Willow the fuck out. I ain't gonna
I
hold you.
thought
It would've
Willow
been
was
bad.
out of here.
That could have been bad. You know, I just think it's funny that match was the same time as the tag title and the Continental title, and yet that match was the most exciting. And the women put on a fucking banger. Match of the night for me. Maybe even more so than Swerve than
I think
Hangman.
that the Continental, the Swerve. I'd have to look at the card in front of me, but there were really like maybe one or two low points.
Jungle Jackoff had his best match ever, though. I'll tell you that. The
Great
ending
match.
was just a lot. It was just a fucking lot.
Great match. He sold the shit out of those two Busaikus.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. See, watching that pay-per-view really made me realize, like, yo, I appreciate WWE. And yes, I'm a show for them because they protect all their finishers. They're all protected. AEW, you can't name one protected finisher in AEW outside of Kenny Omega. You have everyone in WWE's finishers protected. Everyone. From Rhea Ripley down to fucking the Wyatt Six. Everyone's finisher is protected. Damian Priest. The coup de grace got used on Raw, and I was like, I fucking forgot about that one. You got the stunner with Kevin Owens might get kicked out of sporadically. No one kicks out of the RKO. Cody shit. Everyone's move is protected. Even Jey Uso's finisher. And he uses a variety of everyone else's shit.
All right, it's cool. So let me ask you this. Is it necessary for a wrestler to have a finishing move, or can they have signature moves?
A finisher.
Why?
Fatality.
Why?
It's done. When Kevin Nash hit the jackknife, it was over.
No, I'm asking but why? Why is that the hard rule?
I just think when you have your solid finisher, like that's the move that defines your character. Like, yes, you have lead ups to it, like the people's elbow. You know what I'm saying? The whatever the fuck, the loop that's press. Like, there's certain lead ups to finishers that happen, but there are definitive. When you get hit with a Stone Cold Stunner, you're done. Like, that's just the way I grew up. I hate to sound like the old man, but it's just like that's the way I enjoy my wrestling. It's like you get hit with a stunner, you're done. You're not coming back from that.
I get it, but to me, like, I think it's kind of cool to have wrestlers that have moves that you know them for, aka signature moves, that don't always necessarily result in a finish.
I just think it's too common. Like, every match on an AEW show, no finisher is protected. Like, it's just like I have to just accept it, but it's just like I never believe a finish. Like, Ospreay and Pac just ended, and I was just like,
I mean, I don't know. I think that's cool just because I think like the style of match a lot of times is a lot more action based instead of build up and crescendo. You know, it's like a fight. It's ring the bell. These two guys are gonna go at it. So I look at it more from the standpoint of you know, for example, that Conor McGregor has an amazing left hook, and he's knocked people out with that left hook. But he's also tapped people out. He's also knocked people out with the right. He's also won on points. So he's trying. I think it's more about finding an interesting way to end the match, or that wrestler within the storyline trying to figure out how he's going to win that match or what his opponent's weakness is, instead of it just being, no, I have a power bomb, so I can only end this match with a power bomb, and when I hit it, that's it. Maybe not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that there's story to tell with that. And a lot of it is based off of like adrenaline bursts and fighting spirit and having to be a little craftier than just hitting this big move and that's the end. I have to figure out now, like, all right, shit, I hit what a lot of people think is supposed to be my best shot. Wasn't enough. Guy just fucking kicked out at one and now he's up, staring me in my face. So I think it's cool. Like, I think, like, again, this is why I enjoy when I watch this federation. I understand that they're trying to tell their stories this particular way. When I watch this federation, I understand that they tell their stories in a particular way, and that's cool. I like different. You know what I mean? Like, I like, I don't want to fucking turn on West Side Gun and expect a Mariah Carey album. You feel me? Like, what are we doing here? I go to Bad Boy for Bad Boy. I go to Death Row for Death Row. I go to TDE for TDE. I go to, give me something. Give me what you do. So to sum all that up, like, I don't think like the protect and finishes thing, like I get the argument, and it's really preference at the end of the day. But for me, it's like I think it's kind of cool that there's different ways to get these matches. You know.
I agree. It is pretty clever. You know what I'm saying? I just prefer the old school way, man. Just one move, one time, and you're done.
Yo, don't become an old head, bro. I be having conversations with people, man. Not even about wrestling. It's like, if it ain't the way I know it, then it's wrong. Like, all right, then.
I'll adapt with the times. You got
it.
Did you tap into NXT this past week? It's a good show, man. Your girl Julia showed up. Guila's here.
I heard.
You know what I'm saying? Guila is in the building. And
how's she look? What'd she do? What's she into?
Well, she basically had a match with Chelsea Green. I think that was cool. You know what I'm saying? I think it was a pretty okay match. I was just excited just off her energy, just like the name. It's cool to see her on American television. She is very bland, though, when it comes to facial expressions. Like, that shit's got to stop. Like, she's got to get on her Oscar shit real soon. Like, she's going to have to learn from the best. Like, you have to get some character. You know what I'm saying? Get some sizzle with that steak. It's just too boring. It's just very plain face.
This could be a situation where she's miscast.
Hell, I personally think she's going to beat Roxanne and then enter Stephanie McCool.
But look at what you've already said. Like, you have to add character. What if that's not her best suit? What if she doesn't need to come out and just be super animated? You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying this to somebody that's really not all that familiar with Julia, by the way. I don't really know too much about Julia other than a lot of people like her for whatever reason. But what if she, if they force, no, you have to have character, you have to be expressive, you have to be emotive, and it starts to turn into cartoon character shit.
I definitely don't see her going down that rabbit hole of being like a goofball and being Minnie Mouse. But I think she just needs some type of excitement, man. That's all. She just looks too stone-faced. Like, there's no reaction to anything she's doing, from her walk to the ring, to her getting in the ring, to her in the ring. It's just like, I'm Julia. I'm here. It's just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, she beat Chelsea Green in a pretty cool match. I think the NXT universe is excited for what's going to come with Julia and Roxanne having a match in the CW. Now that you said that,
are they on the CW this week? They debuted on CW already?
Maybe 2 weeks or something.
Okay.
Could be wrong, could be right, but it ain't next week. I could be wrong about that too. I don't know. All I just hear is the CW network, the CW network, the CW, the CW. No one's dropping a date. They're just saying CW in Chicago. But Julia should be cool, though. I'm looking forward to Julia's progression. I just think that the women's division is just on fire in NXT, so it's just like, shit, more new fresh blood. Javon Evans, Did not pick up a win against Charlie Dempsey, so now he is currently back on his losing streak. He didn't win the Heritage Cup, but the match was really good. Definitely showed that Javon Evans has got potential and he's here to stay. So definitely
I saw Pete Dunne lost to Trick.
Are you
right?
surprised? I told you that spiraling out of control gimmick is on the way. That shit is on the way, man. That's the only thing that's going to spark his character up. It's just him being a fucking psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not far from where he's at right now, but he's going to have to be deranged because there ain't much left.
I think they had to give him reason. You know, like they started off with the Butch. He got tired and started verbalizing how he didn't fuck with the Butch name and character, and now you give him a couple of L's. One thing about Pete Dunne, going all the way back to Progress, is when he's been like the leader of a group, has been when he's been able to do his best work and play off. So with like British Strong Style, for example, was Tyler Bate and Trent Seven.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete Dunne was kind of the cornerstone, even though he wasn't the oldest guy or the most experienced. That would be Trent Seven. Pete Dunne was the leader. You know what I mean? And he's been able to kind of be looked at as like the diamond in the group. So I think if he continues to lose, is it a case where he starts to look around for other people, you know, to click up with, so to speak, and then emerge as a de facto leader? Because, like, what's his solution to losing? If he loses here, he loses on Raw, he loses on NXT, loses on Raw, loses on NXT. What's his solution? Is it become more violent? Is it click up with some people? Like, we don't have the answers to it, but I think like that's one route to go that I've seen in the past kind of worked out pretty well for him.
I ain't gonna hold you, bro. I really didn't think that the Sheamus split needed to happen right now. Like, I get they could have split and feuded, but you could have had a tag title run between the two of them at least, like right now. Because that tag division is fried on Raw. So, like, them as a tag team wouldn't have been the worst.
I almost think, like, they pulled the trigger a little too quick on him and Tyler Bate not standing next to one another.
No, they didn't. That wasn't on purpose. It was, Tyler Bates' injury.
Oh, I didn't even know he was injured.
Yeah, he's injured. So they didn't split. They didn't split. Got it. He's only doing this because Tyler Bates on the shelf for, like, the rest of the year.
Oh, so then, yeah, that makes more sense then. That makes more sense.
He's just...
Because that's what I was expecting that to be. You know, once I saw Tyler Bate, trying to get Pete Dunne back to being Pete Dunne, drop the Butch, this is your real name, whatever, I said, all right, this is where they're going to go. We're going to get a nice run, titles or no titles. I think they're going to have a nice run as a tag team. And I would have put the titles on them at some point.
You could have put the titles on them. Shit, you
100%.
put them on Ciampa and Same Face for a fucking cup of coffee. You could have definitely gave it to Tyler Bate.
Right. But that Pete whole Dunne thing would have been really designed to bring the bruiserweight back out of Pete Dunne. You know, so by the end of that, we got old evil ass Pete Dunne that was, getting barked at by William Regal a few years ago in NXT UK.
Trick Williams is the new number one contender, rightfully so. He will be heading off to, what's the pay-per-view? Oh, the CW. Let's fight Ethan Page, October 1st. So that is the CW main event. It's Trick Williams, Ethan Page, too. So, can't call that one yet. The NXT TNA partnership, it's going okay. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of slowed down right now. Although
not for TNA. I saw whatever next big show they have is their biggest selling show of the year so far.
Really?
Yeah. It ain't slowing down for TNA. I saw some of that.
I mean, slowing down in the sense of the talent from NXT going to TNA that matter. TNA is just currently getting Wendy Chu. So, like, Wendy Chu ain't... If you think Wendy Chu was moving the needle for TNA ticket sales, and I guess, you know what I'm saying, that's just what the fuck it was. But Wendy Chu and Jordan Grace to feud off the Knockouts title, which is crazy enough. Jordan Grace has killed that whole Knockouts division. Like, I think she's going to be the champion until she leaves TNA and goes straight to WWE. Like, that'll be the last straw, is, like, her putting someone over. But, like, the Knockouts division is so cooked that, like, they're sending help from NXT at this point. Like, Jordan's not going to lose that belt anytime soon. Her contract's up in January, and I think she just holds the belt till January. And then she goes full-time WWE. Because there's nothing else for her to do in NXT. Like, not a thing right now. So, her feud with Wendy Chu should be all right. She, she couldn't even get through Sol Ruca. That's what I mean by the partnership. It's just so lopsided because they gave her a DQ finish. She couldn't even pin Sol Ruca. And then Hammerstone just ate defeat to Obafemi. Crowd went mild. No one really knows who Hammerstone really is, unless you know. If you know, you know. But the crowd didn't really. They were just like, cool. But he has a good look though. Pause for WWE guys. Hammerstone for sure. Like he looks like he belongs.
How tall is he compared to Oba?
They right there, like Dijak Keith Lee type vibes. Exactly.
Got it.
So like,
because like Hammerstone was hard to judge. Like, yeah, he's a brolic dude, built and all that, but
he's fighting the X division right now. So like,
yeah, I couldn't tell how tall he actually was.
Like he fit right in. I'll tell you that much. Like, pause. Like he looks like he just gelled well. Coming through that NXT calendar, like that whole tunnel area and all that shit. He just looks like you should have went here. Like this is where you should have came to. Like certain people, like I'm excited for Motor City Machine Guns to show up. They're gonna take over the whole tag division because they need it. Tag division.
They're there to be the OGs. They're there to be the OGs, man.
I love it.
As we get further and further away, by the way, from NXT being developmental, I think they're gonna do really, really well.
It's the third brand, and Motor City Machine Guns are going to be perfect for it. Like, I see a lot of people online right now are like, yo, how could they turn down AEW? Why don't they go to NXT? They should go to Raw. It's just like, yo, y'all are naming all of the worst tag divisions that could quite possibly hold them. At least in NXT, it's their own show. Like Ethan Page, it's his own show. He has no competition. Motor City, they ain't really gonna have much competition. It's gonna be people coming from the main roster to fight Motor City Machine Guns on NXT. That's gonna be the rating pop.
I mean, and the other thing to me, it makes sense for the Motor City Machine Guns with all of the history that they obviously have with TNA. They're looking at this pipeline too, and maybe it's a case of being a part of NXT so they can still participate in what's going on at TNA.
Fair,
but get WWE money. And then on the back end, possibly have careers laid out for them as coaches and producers in WWE.
On their Petey Williams shit.
100%.
They ain't no spring chickens, but they're at the top of their game right now, though.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think like it could be a situation where, think about 6 months from now on that next TNA NXT big co-produced show that they put together, where you have a returning Motor City Machine Guns against whoever the tag champs are at that time. That's a big match.
Shit, I'm thinking about WrestleMania weekend when we got Motor City Machine Guns versus, fucking the Bloodline or some shit. I don't know, like some pop. Speaking of, they made their NXT debut this past Tuesday. Just came through, wrecked shit, and left.
Who are they beefing with? Why were they even down there?
They just wanted to show up and make a statement. So they just came through and whooped Street Profits' ass and cost them the tag titles.
Oh, so they fucking with Street Profits.
Yeah, they still beefing with the Street Profits, so they came down there and just bodied the niggas, sent them up. So NXT was pretty okay. I enjoy NXT. I can't complain about it, man. We got quite a few weeks till Bad Blood. WWE is gonna be spinning wheels for a while. Logan Paul and Kevin Nash don't get along. It's the WWE.
That was strange, right, man. Like,
yo, make sure you're one of the boys, though. You know what I'm saying? If you're not one of the boys, fuck you. Fuck you and fuck you from the boys.
That was weird. Like, Nash legit just doesn't fuck with Logan Paul because he didn't come up the same. Like, what are we talking about?
I just can't, contain laughter because knowing the stories that I've done my research on, it's like, strong message, wrong messenger. You know what I'm saying? It's like Kevin Nash. This is the same guy I was just watching a WCW Death fucking documentary. It's like this is the guy that's talking about yo, this guy's making more money than this nigga. It's like,
yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, all of a sudden, Kevin Nash is the advocate for the boys and not for the bag.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was fucking hysterical, though.
I remember hearing often about Nash and Hall had something called, I think it was a Hulk Hogan thing, but it's like a favored nations clause where anybody that came into WCW after they signed, if they signed for higher than what they were making, in their contract, it was written for them to be bumped up to whatever, you know what I mean?
Yo, dog, he was the booker for WCW, and I had no idea about this. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Almost definitely.
Yo, my deep dive of WCW in 1999 was like, yo, dog, this is what was going on here. Like,
WCW was a wild. There's a couple of I gotta put you on. There's a like the death of WCW. I think I bought like on like Apple Books a minute ago. But there's some wild stories that
yo,
it's like yo, it's a wonder that that company was around for even as long as it was, because they were wilding.
yo, I was watching so much recent WCW in '99 that like I finally know I can pinpoint how I feel about Okada. In this current stance, he's Bret Hart in the NWO. He's Bret Hart in WCW. Period.
Expound, please.
Okada in AEW is Bret Hart in WCW. A shell of his former self, there to collect a paycheck, just getting by, having menial title reigns with mid card titles. He's still the man, still popular, still got catchphrases, still can go when he wants to, but he's just there to be there. And until the C2 shows up, yes, I know, that's when he'll show that he's the tournament guy and he'll put on a clinic and all this. But until then, which was Bret Hart finally getting the WCW world title, he was just a guy that was there. Like, he was just there. You loved him because the name value, but it's like, he's just here. So that's where I could pinpoint Okada at right now. Because I was like, why does this Bret Hart in 99 just feel like I'm just watching this right now? Okada. There we go. So that's kind of where I came with that thesis. You know what I'm saying? It's been in a rabbit hole of WCW, and it took me there. You know what I'm saying? I don't expect you to agree with that one, but
I don't.
that's the only comparison I really had
Mm-hmm.
for Okada now in AEW, Bret Hart in WCW. And I might have been extreme when I said a shell of his former self, which, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just
Depending on who
think
you're
like,
looking at.
man, I just think Okada is in a role that some people dig and some people don't. I think Bret Hart is different in the sense that they just had him there and didn't have much for him to
Yo,
do.
my
There
man
were
was a
no plans.
five-time US champion at one point, son. Like, nigga was a US champion, a world champion for like in the span of a year.
Yeah.
It's
Nah, but
like,
I
yo,
think
that's
like
mad titles, dogs.
their big idea to start Bret off was to be the special enforcer. So you already like wrong. Like I think this is they weren't playing to any of Bret's strengths. I think they're playing to Okada's strength of him being able to pull off this role and show off his personality. Because again, what I really feared about Okada was they were just going to have him come in and play the role of the Rainmaker who you expect to have these big matches. And
Yes.
people that didn't watch New Japan regularly only watched the big epic match and probably only after somebody else told them to watch it. You got to watch it. It's going to be fire. This like what he's doing now is not really too far off from some of the less celebrated things that he did in New Japan, but I think it was super important for his character because you're able to see his personality. Right? If you just expect Big Match Okada to come in and just have big matches, how excited are you going to be if you're a personality guy?
I
I
get it.
want to see more from your personality. You just said 15 minutes ago that Shorty came into NXT and she has no personality. She needs to be animated. You know what I mean? So I think they did a really, really smart thing about having Okada come in and get you invested in something about his personality first. And then when he starts, really trying to turn up and have these 5-star matches, you also have a history now of about a year, 8 months, however long he's been in AEW, of a little bit more than just the Bella Bell. You know, Brett, they fucked up from jump. Like him being an enforcer didn't play to anything. Any of his strengths,
Such a
especially coming off of the fact that think about how hot of a period that was for him coming out of that Montreal screw job. What they could have done with that.
yo. I watched his debut and I was like, yo, he could have just been the number one contender right out the gate. Like he should have been the dog, like the guy.
I'm telling, like I feel like we talked about this before because there was I think you might have said something about like I think when Brett came in, I would have had Brett come in a little bit after Sting has held his title for a while. Like to me, Sting beats Hogan clean. He wins the world title.
Fair.
He goes on a little bit of a run. Let's say, whatever it is, 4 months, half a year. By the time Brett debuts, he now debuts as a guy. I left over there as the world champ. They screwed me out of my shit. You're the world champion. You're using my finisher, even though in real life he kind of took it from Sting, but whatever. That would have been interesting to have Brett come in as this angry, former WWF guy who got screwed. He plays that same character that 6 months earlier he started playing when he first turned heel. Everybody in WWF is trying to screw me. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, all of that. But have him do that in WCW against the franchise who vanquished and destroyed the NWO and has been having a hell of a run. I just made that shit up off the top of my head, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man, that's not how shit went.
No clue.
My man was too sweet.
They had no clue what to do with that man.
Wicked turn of events, man.
He looked good on Raw the other day. I did see that.
And speaking of, that brings me to Bret Hart being on Raw to have a promo battle with Gunther.
Yeah, he did. I love Gunther, sarcastic ass Gunther.
Good
I
guy.
love Gunther saying that, you're looking at the best there is right now. You're looking at the best there ever will be. That was a nice little play.
He's good. Sammy doesn't stand a chance.
Looking at
Sammy don't stand a fucking chance.
My second favorite wrestler after Bill Goldberg was great.
Sammy don't stand a chance. Jey Uso
nah.
don't stand a chance.
Nah. Nobody
Braun
does.
Strowman
If you
don't
see
stand
Gunther in a
chance.
title match between now and, I don't know, Money in the Bank, he's winning that shit.
Easily. I don't see Braun Breaker losing the IC title, so that's another L for Jey Uso upcoming.
Who was Braun talking shit to backstage? Pete Dunne, right?
Yeah, Pete Dunne.
He's going to murder him, too.
He's going to smoke his boots. Bronson Reed just decapitating Braun Strowman, so they're probably going to have just an multitude of feuds until Seth Rollins comes back in the mix.
Fresh off of COVID, man. Fresh off of COVID. I love Bronson Reed, bro.
Judgment Day just continue to, spin the wheels. It's going to be a long, long, long way to get to fall. Get to October 5th for Atlanta.
When do those 2-hour Raws start? I'll tap in.
Yo, the funny part is 2-hour Raw starts after Bad Blood.
Cool.
So we have the next 4 weeks, I believe, of Raw programming to just be on spin cycle with Judgment Day, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Wyatt Six, Alpha Cat. They're just fighting each other in different Rubik's Cube version of matches, like every week.
That's what it was. You know what? I did watch Raw, right? But because the Jets played on Monday. That's what it was.
49ers.
And, yeah. And
that's why he went commercial free.
Exactly. But started with the Wyatt Six and Alpha Academy or whatever.
That felt like a pay-per-view match, no cap.
I'm just not into that shit, man.
I'm not into it either, but for the match quality, like I looked, I'm a WWE guy, so it's like I looked at it like on some let's give it a good eye. Shit was a pay-per-view quality match, and I'm not one to enjoy that faction.
Could have been like maybe it's on me. I just didn't even give it a shot. Once I saw that that's what was starting the show, I went back to the Jet game.
I just knew that they're going to be because you're not going to miss anything because they're going to be feuding for the next rest of the 4 weeks. They're going to. You know what I mean? You're going to be watching variations of all those people have matches over the next 4.5 weeks leading up to the pay-per-view. Singles,
tell you
tag.
what, folks, this is why you don't come to AO to cover shit. I'm watching what the fuck I want to watch, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm not covering.
I'm watching everything.
You know what I'm saying?
Too much of it. It's by nature. It's by nature now, y'all. That's it, man. That's 104. That is episode 104 on their ass, man.
Yep.
So we can touch base on everything outside of TNA. Ain't really much else to it on the TNA side.
Looking forward to that Punk and Drew Mac Hell in the Cell. How far do you think they actually let them go?
The bar is set very high after Hangman and Swerve. So I personally think that's
it's not touching that. I think it's a different. I can't because if they bleed, I'd be surprised.
It's a lot of hate. It almost feels like, and I feel Bully Ray. I checked out Bully Ray's sentiments on it, and I feel him. It's like this match needs I Quit This doesn't need Hell in a Cell. What are they gonna do? Throw each other into cage walls? Like
I agree. That's a good point.
he was like this. Like he's like Hell in a Cell seems too contrived. Only because the anniversary. Yes, I get it, but at the same time, this match needed a better, more aggressive stipulation. Like them being confined in a cage that technically isn't even a steel cage, like the actual steel cage matches. It's like, no, you're just gonna be tossing him out of a ring to toss him into a wall and then back in the ring and then back into a wall and back
Yeah.
into a ring. Like
Yeah, no, I agree. Like if I expect like there's gonna be, your kendo stick and table and whatever under the ring,
screw.
and they're gonna
I
do
think like
that
a
in the
wrench. I
cage.
think like something mad random, like out of a toolbox,
Yeah,
is gonna be used.
yeah.
Chain,
Handcuffs probably.
handcuffs, steel chair, go to sleep on
But
top of
that
the
I
cell.
quit would have been perfect, or a submission match in the style of the Steve Austin Bret Hart match, where they can kind of walk and brawl, no holds barred, but then some kind of stipulation where you have to either say I quit or I have to put a submission match, because then it's like it's more about me, exerting my dominance over you as the alpha male in this situation. You know what I mean? Hell in a Cell, it depends on how far they let them go. I can see them doing one of those little Shane McMahon. He's hanging off the side mid cage, and he goes through the table or something like that.
Drew did that same move against Randy Orton when they had their Hell in a Cell. So it's like
Yeah,
I can see very much so repeated spots happening.
yeah.
I just don't know how violent it can be.
What was
Like,
Punk's last joint? The one with Heyman, right?
yeah,
Heyman had the
against
black
Ryback.
swishy suit on.
Against
It's
Ryback.
Ryback. That's right. That's with the ref. What the fuck was the ref's name?
Brad
Brad
Stephen
Maddox.
Brad Maddox.
Brad
Fought
Maddox.
off referee. That was the Raw GM. That was a nasty period of time.
Good God, that was some
I
dark days,
remember
man.
watching like, yo, where did Ryback come from, and how does he have a title match already? I was like, what's going on here?
Yo, and the fans were not with it from day
Nah,
one. It was Goldberg chance and get this guy out of here, man.
I wish we were potting at that time. 'Cause the rise of Ryback was insane, though. Like I
Yo,
watched it in real time. I was like, I'm like watching nobody emerge. Like there's nobody for Punk to really fight and defend his belt against. So they kind of really had to because there's only so many John Cena matches the nigga was gonna keep having. It's like Cena injury and the Shield forming was a blessing in disguise, really.
yep, they tried to force that one, man.
They really thought that Ryback was gonna be the main event nigga,
Well,
son. They put that
Ryback
nigga
about
in
to
a
be
Hell in a
that
Cell
guy.
match in his first world title match. And I was just like, this is bad. This is bad booking. This it's like I'm well of age and I'm like, yo, this is bad booking, bro. Like, this is not it, dude. Like when you flip the channel to TNA and it's like Bobby Roode, Kurt Angle, James Storm,
Hmm.
Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. It's just like, all right, TNA is still holding shit down. They
That's when
still
I that
smoking
that's
shit.
what makes me wish I was in a TNA at that time.
They still smoking shit because I could
Yeah.
still turn on the channel or turn on my YouTube or whatever and still see like quality wrestling going on from prime Kurt Angle, prime Bobby Roode, prime James Storm, Chris Sabin. You know what I'm saying? Quality names was still at Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels. Like they were going crazy. Jeff Hardy in the mix. Like that era of TNA was real fucking solid, man. So night and day with these companies sometimes.
Yep. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Punk versus Drew's, like I said a couple of times, been my favorite feud kind of moving through WWE right
I'm
now.
looking
So,
forward to it. It's just how much of the same shit they're gonna be saying. Punk gonna be on Raw this coming Monday, so he's gonna be saying the same shit.
oh, the promos are repetitive as fuck.
It's just like, whew, Lord, bro, like it's tough. Y'all be like, yo, where your Lord takes at? It's like, man, I just can't sit through this Raw. Like, I'd rather
That's how I
sleep.
be
I'd
feeling,
rather
man.
go work on fucking brand shit. Like, I don't really want to sit through like like Raw is so repetitive. And we can end after this that like I turned in to watching like right when I turned this shit on, I click back over and I see Rhea Ripley coming down to the ring in a crutch trying to attack the Judgment Day. And I was like, yo, didn't I watch this like 2 weeks ago? It's like, yo, wasn't this the same takes the crutch,
Deja vu, man.
swings, hits, goes to hit, catch, taken, gets her ass whooped. I was like, yo, didn't they just do this?
Wash and repeat.
So yeah, it's tough with Raw, man. But SmackDown should be cool on Fox. Roman
Yep.
Reigns tentatively returning. Cody versus Solo.
Oh,
hopefully for the
USA.
last time.
Fox is a wrap.
USA.
Yeah, USA.
man. You know, Cody Solo for the last time, hopefully.
Nah, you know they're gonna run that back another 5 times, man.
Dog, if this is Cody's title match for Bad Blood, it's another Solo Sikoa match.
Who else is it gonna be?
That's the problem with Cody's reign right now.
So this is the problem with champions in general, man. If you don't have a fire feud, your title reign is gonna look like it's flopping. You know, and I'm not saying Cody's just flopping. I'm just saying there's nothing really hot going on with Cody right now, because there isn't like nobody's
Nobody's rock level of heel, of
Yeah,
evil heel.
like no, they had. If you put Jacob Fatu right now up against Cody, even as dope as that match is going to be, Jacob Fatu hasn't been established enough to be a guy that we believe can beat Cody. Right? To me, it's only like what 2 names, maybe 3 names that look realistic. So he's not having any back and forth with those guys, and it seems like it's going to be a title reign that they're going to drag out until Rumble time, Mania time. You know what I mean? So in the meantime, we just throwing this shit on repeat.
And not for nothing, I just think it's not even time to turn Randy yet. I mean, it'll happen sooner than we think, out of nowhere. But I just think they're waiting so long for it right now to happen that they're like, "Yo, we're not rushing this shit. It's got to be organic." Because we all expect it.
That's the thing with me is like sometimes, you know, people discredit certain things because they feel it's a quote unquote they're hot shot in the title change or they're hot shot in this program. But to me, sometimes it's necessary. Like I also think that there isn't a reason to have a long title reign just because somebody's a champion. Like we don't need these shits. Just because Cody Rhodes took all that time to finally win the title doesn't mean he has to have a year-long reign. Like let's get into some interesting shit. Have him lose the title and have to claw back. He can do this a couple of times between now and Mania. Like why does he have to hold the title from Mania to Mania? Like what? Why?
Stat pad. You know what I'm saying? You can't you can't take Roman Reigns' title from him and that historic reign and then have a turnaround reign. That's kind of where I see it.
But then you get boring shit. I'd rather do interesting shit and maybe it doesn't measure up to Roman than do boring shit where I'm tuning out and ratings are going down.
Maybe that's a problem that WWE didn't build enough monster heels. Believable monster heels.
Bang.
I mean, shit, right now.
Pull the trigger on him losing.
Right now, Bronson Reed could switch brands and go attack Cody, and that'd be way more entertaining than anything. I don't believe Bronson would win, but I'd be like, well, that's something.
That's the thing. Like, I think there's more of a chance that if Bron Breakker or Bronson Reed, either one, Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, either of them go over to SmackDown right now, either of them, to me, have a better chance of winning than Solo Sikoa versus Cody.
Yes.
Any of them, either of them.
No allies, just straight.
Right, Bronson Reed, we saw he took Seth Rollins out. He's out here murdering Braun Strowman. He's just taking people out. Who's next on the list? Wouldn't expect him to win, but he's a serious threat. Bron Breakker even more so because he's still on his way up. He's killing everybody.
And Carmelo had a match with Cody, so it's like shit. Braun ain't far off.
So, like, I'd rather let's just do something interesting, keep it fresh instead of just, oh, he's the champ, so we got to put him in the fucking glass case for a year so he can have the title reign and like the fuck out of here. Sometimes people just book by the book and not by the vibe, and that's why shit be whack.
I think Andrade and Melo will be tag team partners by the year's end, and not only that, they'll be tag team champions.
Match 4 or 5,
closing in on 5, I believe. Yeah, that means that if you go off WWE logic from best of 5, 6, 7 series, they'll be tag team partners and tag team champions by year end. It's the new bar.
Oh God.
What else they gonna do? Literally, they're gonna have another match series. They're gonna have a banger after banger after banger, and realize, like, you know what?
We're stronger together than apart.
Stronger together. Actually, like, maybe we should just lock in and be the fucking Playboys or some shit. And lo and behold, they will be the tag team champions on SmackDown. And I say this shit from now until it happens, but that's all I see. I don't see them even moving up to get a title shot. I don't see them even winning a title. So it's just like, nah, y'all gonna be a tag team and get over there.
I mean, they do intertwine Melo quite a bit with LA Knight,
but I just don't see him taking the. I think LA's gonna have an extensive reign. I don't think he's losing that belt anytime soon. But I think Andrade will cost Melo that opportunity, thus leading to another match, and thus leading to them realizing that they're better as a brotherhood than. And Melo can talk for Andrade.
Who loses first, Gunther or Cody?
Cody. I think Cody loses first. I don't think Gunther loses anytime. Like, no time. No time soon. It's Gunther's time. His time is up. Sammy's time is up. Gunther's time is now. That's a Fendi fact.
Send Sammy to NXT.
Wouldn't be bad, actually.
Yeah,
like him versus Ethan Page would be all right. Like I said, Ethan Page is on an island of his own out there. Like, he's got nothing but Trick Williams. Like, that's all he's got. So anyone could go out to NXT right now and smoke shit. So,
with that being said,
the almighty
beat.
It's the almighty.
There we go, man. That was 104 for that ass. We out here. Catch y'all next week and all that.